We got another episode of We Don't Color on the Dog. We got with us Sheriff Chip Simmons. Chip, thank you for doing this.
Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Doing well. We've got some new crime statistics out. Tell us what they tell us.
Well, we started looking at where we were because it's the end of October, beginning of November, and I was just asking where we are, and I'm happy to report homicide specifically, which is where a lot of people want to know what's the homicide rate at a specific location. Our homicides are down for the year. I don't want to jinx anything, but we have 13 so far for the year. As of November the 1st, I guess. And where we were last year and a couple of years before this, we were well into our 20s. So we're almost, about probably 45% reduction in the homicides alone. Now, again, that's just one metric, but it's something that we can be proud of. It's something we can look to build on.
Any thoughts as to why it might be down?
I think it's probably a number of things. We take this multi-prong approach. I think the fact that we're hiring more deputies, we have more deputies on the street than we've ever had. We're more capable than we've ever been. I think that you can't ignore the technology. You can't ignore the real-time crime center, some of the cameras that we have in the roadways. You can't ignore the fact we got some license plate readers. We've made a lot of arrests, and some of our killers are in prison. I think that the fact that we are talking to people, and my hope also is that the community has said enough is enough. Let's have these conversations at the dinner table. Let's have these conversations in the pulpit. Let's make sure that we all are on the same page, because really what we want is a safe environment and a safe community. And I think all of those things and a little bit of luck, quite frankly, ends up look good on our statistics.
And you said it kind of jokingly, but it's statistics are that you have some control, but not a lot of control over them. And so it's one of those scary things that once you start mentioning it, that's when the bottom falls out. But hopefully it won't. We're coming up to state funding for the shot spotter programs ending. When do we see that end, Chip?
We're supposed to end on November the 6th. So on Thursday, we'll no longer have the shot spotter capability within our real-time crime center. It was a benefit for us. It was something I was glad we were able to get, but it's very expensive. It was, 300 something thousand for our portion of the shot spotter. And I think the same for the city's portion. So we're looking at to renew it would have been over $600,000. We tried for it. We tried to get an appropriation. It was approved by the state legislature, but the governor vetoed it. So that's the way our state runs, and we're going to move forward with what we have, and we're going to continue to build upon our own capabilities.
What were some of the strengths of having that software?
Yeah, in case people are listening or watching, the shot spotter was a series of microphones set up in what we had called a high crime area. We had 3 square miles in Escambia County, and it would activate whenever it detected a single or multiple gunshots, and we could get that information to our deputy before we even got a 911 call. Now, the vast majority of the shot spotter indications were not shots fired in anger. It was, if it was a shot at all, it was a shot into the ground, into the air in celebration, someone testing a gun out, someone shooting at a snake, those types of things. I can only think of a handful of times where it made a difference in probably just a matter of seconds, but it was a tool that we did work with, and it did help us to identify exactly how many shots so that our crime scene would know how many shell casings to look for. There may be an opportunity where we could have, missed a shell casing, and that one shell casing could have given us a fingerprint. So we look to have as much as we can to again prevent these crimes from taking place, and certainly to solve them when they do take place. But we live in a world where would it be nice to have 50 more deputies? Of course, but we just cannot afford 50 more deputies. Well, I'd like to have had shot spotter, of course, but without the funding from the state, it was not a possibility unless I sacrificed 300, 400, 500, even $600,000 worth of personnel, and I'm not ready to do that. I'd rather have a deputy on the street available and ready to answer a 911 call.
And I do know that that has been one of the criticisms of that software is in other spots is that not every time it is a shot and it's not necessarily a crime taking place. And I think that's right. It's definitely a tool to have and have available, but we'll see if we see a difference or not. This weekend, the city dedicated an honorary piece of Belmont de Villers in honor of John Powell, Reverend Powell. I know you worked with him as a police officer and as police chief. What are some of your memories of John Powell?
Well, I'll tell you that I probably can't drive by what I call the bread company. Can't drive by that building without thinking of Reverend Powell. Soon after he passed away, I was fortunate enough to be asked to say a few words, and you were there as
Right.
well, about John Powell. And you know what? I think I'll start with saying that he was a friend. Whenever I was at the Pensacola Police Department, as the assistant chief, and then later the police chief, we were able to work together. I remember we used some of our seized drug money to buy some blocks, and I couldn't just give it to John. John wanted me to come by and take a look at it and experience with it, and to go by and look at it wasn't enough for Reverend Powell either. You had to build. I had to build something. We had to show us how long it took to build and how great it was and how they wouldn't harm the kids. That's how excited he was to to help with the kids. And his honestly his Christmas giveaways, at whether it's at a gymnasium or a location that he chose, to me they're legendary. He'd invite me to them a couple of times, and he like the Marine he was, he handled things. He handled his business, and I think that
Right.
if you are the sum of your experiences, and I believe that we are, my experience with John Powell has made me a better person. It's made me a better leader, and I'll forever think of him as a friend. And I couldn't be more proud of him and his family to have that street named after him. Even though, like I said, I didn't need a street name for me to think about him every time I drive down
Right.
Belmont de Villers.
Well, he was so multifaceted. He was a fantastic musician. He had his band. He had with kids. He found so many different ways to reach out to youth. His lock-ins at the Bay Center are legendary. What he was able to do there, and kids had to show their report card for not that he ever turned anybody away, but he really tried to hold them accountable, so that it meant something to get a gift for him or to be part of a lock-in, to be part of a band. He was a really unique individual that. And you're right. I'll go to Five Sisters and I'll look over at the bread company and just think about touring it with him and him showing me everything that he had and what his
Well,
dreams were.
exactly, where the roof was leaking, how much money he needed, and
Right.
like you said, what his dreams were. And I guess I consider you and I both, at least some of the many people that had the luxury of hearing his vision and his
Right.
heart. And like I said, it was a big plan. It was an optimistic goal that he had. But you know what? Until the day he died, he was optimistic that he was going to be able to do it. And I'm sure he would have had God not had other plans for him.
Right, for sure. All right, before you go, Chip, let's talk about, we're coming into the holiday season. Let's talk about what you've got, the sheriff's office has on slate for community engagement.
Well, I do want to mention to you, in case you think that I haven't slept in a while, we're doing the No Shave November like other people are doing. Even though I'm not necessarily a fan of in uniform, wearing the beards, it's a personal choice. I want to take part in it, and we're doing it. We'll probably donating our money to the foundation, the Escambia Foundation, for employees and for engagement in our community. Along those lines, we're doing Coffee with a Cop on November the 13th at Lucky Goat, which is on North Davis. But this is holiday season, right? So we're going to start with some of our public safety announcements. You're going to start seeing our video trailers out at various locations, so that hopefully act as a deterrent, so that people can shop and enjoy the holiday season without being victim of a crime. So we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to cooler weather, just like everyone else is. We're going to be out there, and we ask that people come out there and talk to us. Tell us what you think. Tell us how we're doing. As I think was it Mayor Ed Koch used to say in New York, he'd approach people and how am I doing? How am I doing?
Right.
Although I'm not sure if Ed was the one I want to be emulating, but I do want to know what people think, and it's very important to us, and we love being part of our community.
Chip, thank you so much for coming on today.
You bet. Y'all take care.
All right, take care.
Thanks for watching, and to keep up with what's going on, be sure and subscribe. Just click on the little dog to the right and click the subscribe button. You can also like this video and click on the bell, which will notify you of new content. This really helps the channel grow. We appreciate you.